Hi guys! Welcome to this week's author confession, where years of boy band worship is coming full circle. I've got the 2000s proof going on because literally nonstop for the last week, all I can think of is I am sorry, you probably are all so tired of the Justin Timberlake It's Gonna Be May jokes, but I am so excited because in May and today it is now officially 15 days until Alice comes out. So for me, I'm super excited. It's gonna be May. Gosh, it's been a crazy ride, and I know the next couple weeks are gonna be even busier. So my confession this month is that this is my first launch of a book, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So this is the first book I've written, it's the first book I published, and so it's basically a huge learning curve for me. So I'm really excited. My publisher is absolutely amazing, and we are going to be doing a virtual launch party on Twitter. We're working on some ideas and some great stuff. I have already aligned some super sweet fan art from @KittyBarclay. She's given me a couple already. I'm waiting on a few more, and all I can say is, guys, these are amazing. Like, I wish that I could draw. I cannot, but I wish I could. Like, her work is so good. So even if like all you do on the launch party day is come to check out her work, it's gonna be worth it. But there's also gonna be some other pretty sweet things. I can't tell you all of it. So make sure you follow me on Twitter or on my Instagram. I'll be posting some things there as well. So keep an eye out. It's going to be fun. But that is enough of me right now. I would much rather introduce you to my author confession guest, one of my very good friends, Miss Dorianne Dupre. Today, my guest is a very special one. It is the author of the book Scout's Honor, which I've gotten to read and I absolutely love. Dory, could you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. My book is Scout's Honor, and it won bronze in Southern Fiction with Reader's Favorite this past year, 2016, which was pretty exciting. The book it takes place in three parts, and it basically follows the life of a girl who is brought up in the South in the 1980s, and she is a Christian, and she is named after Scout Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. And something happens to her when she's 14, and then the book follows some other points in her life that show how that one situation when she was 14 at a key point in her life changed her and changed the course of her life and affected her relationships with not just men, but with her friends and family, and herself. Most importantly, her relationship with herself.
Scout, her Achilles heel seems to be her choice in men. Do you have an Achilles heel or a weakness of any sort?
Of course I do. I'm a human being. I would say that my Achilles heel is probably just confidence, and I think that when you're writing, when you're a writer or any kind of art or creativity, having the confidence in yourself and your abilities to actually put it out there is it's very scary. And so, I mean, I'm in my 40s, and this is my first novel, so it took a very long time for me to have the confidence to try to put a book out there, or something creative out there, to be picked apart and judged, and all of those things that go along with the fears that you have when you put something out there for the world.
So tell me how you went about choosing your publisher.
Well, this is interesting because I've been asked this a lot, and as an author, or when you first write a novel, a lot of times, unless you're in that industry, you have no clue what in the world to do with this your masterpiece. So you start doing some research and you start talking to some people, and you go the route of writing query letters and emails and sending manuscripts out and being rejected or not being responded to. And what I learned through that was that it's really just a big black hole, especially now because there are so many authors. I talked to a friend of mine who self-published, and I didn't really want to do that quite yet. I figured that would be kind of my last resort. So I decided to start looking for independent publishers who accepted manuscripts, because I couldn't seem to get anyone to just read my manuscript. And that's, when you're doing query letters, it's like, that's kind of ridiculous that's the only thing anybody seems to care about. It's like, no, I actually have a product here that I think is good, and I actually have some rare confidence in. And and if you would just read it, and getting somebody to read it was very hard. So I stumbled across Pen Name Publishing, and they took full manuscripts, and they were the first ones who read my full manuscript and the first ones who offered me a contract. And so I didn't even feel like I chose my publisher. I just kind of felt like my publisher chose me. And part of it is just because I didn't quite know what I was doing. And the other part of it was I didn't want to wait. Like some people will wait years and years to find the right publisher or the right agent. And I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get my work out there, and dilly-dallying around with query letters and trying to get an agent and all of that was just not worth my time anymore.
So Scout is contemporary fiction, and it's got a bit of the Southern touch to it, which I enjoy immensely. But are there any particular genres that you would not go anywhere near?
Oh, yeah. I would not ever try to write like erotica or, some of those extra flavorful type erotica novels. I wouldn't know what to write. So I would be too embarrassed for my mother to read something like that written by me. So I understand that E.L. James, who wrote those Grey novels, that's not actually her name. So she wrote her, she didn't want anyone to actually know it was whatever her real name is. Didn't actually want anyone to really know it was her writing that. So yeah, that's one genre I don't think that I would really know where to start. So
valid point. So Scout, you mentioned, and you talked about it a little bit, she's named after To Kill a Mockingbird, the character, and that novel makes an appearance in your story several times. Is there a special place in your heart for To Kill a Mockingbird?
I like To Kill. I think I just like To Kill a Mockingbird, like most Americans like To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, many of us were required to read it when we were in school. And it's a good discussion piece about not just racial issues, but history in and of itself. And because I like, it's narrated by a child, and it does talk about some very difficult subjects, but seen through a child's eyes. I just thought that I mean, everybody appreciates. I don't know anybody that doesn't appreciate To Kill a Mockingbird, and so it's also a well enough known book and story here in the United States that it's easy for me to just pull from that, even though my book has absolutely nothing to do with the issues in To Kill a Mockingbird. It was a great central kind of book where people could identify with Scout. They could identify with, meeting Tom Robinson. I threw a Tom Robinson in my book, and just how Scout's identity was wrapped up in this character's name, and actually how that is kind of a burden for somebody to carry. in addition to everything else that you carry, she kind of had something to live up to by having that name.
You wrote Scouts Honor, and actually I was kind of surprised as I was reading along because when it first starts, most of it's in Scout's perspective, and then all of a sudden it goes into multiple POVs, which I really enjoyed how it went into the different points of view. But tell me about your process. Was that challenging, jumping from one character to another?
I don't think it's really that hard because I think writing in first person is the easiest way to write. That's just my opinion. And I do find that when you can assume, if you just go into it with, I'm going to assume this identity, and you become that person while you're writing that person's perspective or experience of what is going on in the story, I just find that different points of view tell a more complete story. When you're writing in just first person, it's just that one person's perspective of reality. And when you add in the other perspectives, you can see that there's so much more going on in a situation than what just Scout sees, and people's motives and what what people are grappling with themselves. I mean, I tried to write my characters as human beings who have flaws, and it's easy to paint somebody as just good or evil. And I did not want my characters to just be evil or my antagonists. I didn't want them to be just bad guys. I wanted them to have real issues that they were grappling with themselves, which causes them to do things that are not right or not good. Just as Scout ended up doing things that were not right and not good. Just like all of us do things like, that are, we're just all flawed human beings. And so when I would write a different point of view, I would assume that identity. I would try to be that person for that time period. And then, to make sure that things are matching up properly, that goes into editing, I think. You just write the person's point of view, you write the person's experience, and then to make sure that things are matching properly between the points of view.
Actually, that was my last question, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have a confession you would like to ask my viewers?
Yes, I would like your viewers to confess. Who is it that you are writing for?
Viewers, who are you writing for? We know there's somebody in mind. Who is it? Dory, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for making the time, and we will talk to you later.
Great. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I was so excited to talk to Dory because I got to read her book. Absolutely check out Scouts Honor. That is actually today all that I have for you because unfortunately I did not get any pitches. So we are down to 15 days until Alice is out. Please, please, please make sure you at least visit the launch party. I would love to have you share in the festivities. Like I said, it's going to be so much fun. As always, happy reading, and don't forget, there's a reason I did not become an international pop star. Happy reading.
It's gonna be May. I do.